We are Black Hawks. We are St. Louis.
It is just a gorgeous afternoon here in St. Louis as we wrap up the 10-game homestand today. The St. Louis Cardinals playing host to the Milwaukee Brewers on Fox Sports Midwest. The Cardinals have been one of the hottest teams in baseball, having won 13 of their last 17. That's Rick Horton. I'm Dan McLaughlin. What a homestand, though, Rick, this could be. We know it's so tough to sweep. Cardinals lose in extra innings in that ball game last night. They had a chance to sweep the Mets. You looked last week in the great pitching. But all in all, put it all together, tremendous homestand.
6-3 on the homestand. It started out with Shelby Miller and Adam Wainwright being nearly perfect in games 1 and 2 of this homestand. They took 2 out of 3 against the Rockies, then 3 out of 4 against the Mets. And to me, it was Matt Carpenter who was on base for 4 straight days. The difference in that series, splitting against Milwaukee, Jaime Garcia picks up a win, but the Cardinals lose Jaime Garcia, and we'll have to see how that impacts this club going forward.
Should be a very fun matchup here today. The veteran and the rookie. Gast and Loesch. Cards, Brewers, next. Want to know his second big league start. Live look at him in the bullpen. He'll face Kyle Loesch today. successful one. One more against the Brewers today after the Redbirds took 3 of 4 against the Mets during the week. But it started with the hard-hitting Colorado Rockies, who didn't hit much in the first 2 games of the series, thanks to Adam Wainwright and Shelby Miller. Goodbye. There's strikeout number 11. Got him. Strikeout number 12. He got him. Strikeout number 13. 27 in a row. And one of the most dominating pitching performances ever by a Cardinals rookie. The 2-2. Got him. A strikeout for Wainwright. This pitching, extraordinary. Gonzalez, a broken bat. Hit the second. Back-to-back shutouts. Miller in game 1. Wainwright here in game 2. After taking 2 of 3 from the Rockies, the Cardinals opened a 4-game series with the Metropolitans. St. Louis took game 1 6-3, thanks to some quick thinking from an unlikely source.
Carpenter up the middle, off the pitcher, hits his foot. Carpenter headed to first base. He's going to be safe. Wigginton's headed home, and he is safe at the plate. How about that? Heads up base running by Ty Wigginton, and the Cardinals take the lead. Wow, nobody at home.
John Gast was yet another young arm making his Cardinals debut. The left-hander was good, and some of his equally inexperienced teammates were even better. Gast was followed by Seth Maness, Carlos Martinez, and Joe Kelly. All of them 24 years of age or younger, and all of them very effective against the Mets. The only Cardinal who hadn't hit the Brewers hard this season was David Freese. But in Friday's opener, David busted out of his slump in grand fashion. 1-1 pitch. Freese hits it out to center field. At the track, at the wall, number 1! A grand slam! Way to come out of it, David! Finally, he says. And he does it emphatically. 5-0 St. Louis. That mean it's a time to take a look at Spotlight Moments on Fox Sports Midwest.
Line drive, caught by Cabrera. With thievery on his mind and in his heart.
Thought of being a little more reluctant.
Braun drives one deep to center field. McCutcheon back to the warning track at the wall. And yes, he made the catch. There's the Gold Glover, and what a play.
Ian had a 4-point landing over there at third base, almost face planted it into the bag.
That ball hit high, deep, way back. Chuck looks up, you can put it on the board. Yes! Hey, Bob.
Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. Brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. See your Mid-America Chevy dealer. Log on to stlchevy.com. Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Steak and Shake, just no equal. Beautiful day here at Busch Stadium. High Sox Sunday. Not just on the field between the white lines, but in the stands. That was the giveaway today. John Gast, his second Major League start. This time he gets the call against Milwaukee. Aoki looks at a ball high, and we're underway.
I would say Gast had a good outing in his Major League debut. The 6 ERA, a little bit misleading. A 2-run home run really in the last inning inflated that ERA, but I would say he pitched very, very well. And what I liked most about him, Dan, was his ability to pitch inside to right-handed batters.
And dealing with one of the hottest hitters in the lineup right now for Milwaukee, and he goes to 3-0. Aoki hitting .443 over his last 15 games, and his average has jumped up to .323. 3-1.
One of the tough things that Gast will have to deal with today is Aoki, Gomez, Segura, and Braun all hitting higher than .350 against left-handed pitching.
Aoki pops it up to the right side. Craig will give it a look, and it's out of play. That's really been the case with Ryan Braun his entire career, crushing left-handed pitching at a tune of about .340. And Aoki has become the everyday right fielder for Milwaukee. This time last year he was a platoon guy. Injuries forced him into the lineup, and it's going to be tough to get him out. That's taken just low, leadoff walk. Ron Renicky, a look at his lineup. Aoki, Segura, and Braun. Then Gomez, Betcourt, Bianchi, the hero last night for Milwaukee, Weeks, Maldonado, and the pitcher Kyle Loesch. Defensively for St. Louis, it's brought to you by Dobbs. Holiday, Jay and Beltran in the outfield. Breeze and Cosma left side of the infield. Carpenter and Craig on the right side. Yachty, no surprise there. He's behind the plate. He's only not caught 2 games this year. And here is Gene Segura.
Gast has a very good move to first base. He uses it as a weapon. The Brewers on the other side like to run. In fact, this offense is an enigma, Dan. They have a high average, high slugging percentage, and yet they're not scoring runs. Getting into a lot of double plays. They strike out too much. They don't walk a lot, and their runners in scoring position numbers are very, very low. Segura was the player of the month in April for Milwaukee. He's off to a terrific start.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. Segura had the RBI triple in game 2 last night that scored 2, tied it up at 2. Milwaukee then went out in front 4-2. Cardinals tied it, and Milwaukee won it in extra innings. 1 ball, 1 strike on Segura. Matter of fact, Rick, to follow up your point on those double plays, Milwaukee hit into 3 last night. So it could have been a lot worse if not for those double plays for St. Louis. The Brewers last year led the National League in both home runs and steals. And this year they're among the league leaders in both those categories. They lead in steals and they're 3rd in home runs. Outfield is deep for Gene Segura. The 2-1 pitch is driven into right field. That's a base hit. So the first 2 have reached here in the first against John Gast, a walk and a base hit to right, and it brings in Ryan Braun.
Segura has been a very good all-around player for Milwaukee. The defense is certainly there. He got a pitch up in the zone. He took it the other way. And he's shown a little power, speed, agility, really complete player. And Milwaukee, I know, very happy to have him. And you look at this lineup from top to bottom, and I still think this club will have a big run at some point. They'll get Corey Hart back. They'll get even better offensively. If they can find any starting pitching somewhere along the line, they may have to do it via the trade. This team is going to be a team you're going to have to contend with before it's over.
Things have settled down in their bullpen. We saw that last night with Axford getting out of a jam, and then Henderson is settled into that closer's role for Ron Renneke. Braun looks at strike 1. Runners in scoring position. The first series, and this is the 3rd that these 2 teams have met. Look at that. Back in mid-April, Milwaukee went 0 for 15. Then it was the 4-game sweep in Milwaukee for St. Louis. But this particular series, a different story. Both teams have been very good in this spot. Milwaukee 8 for 16. And Ryan Braun has 4 hits in this series. He's 4 for 8. Strike 2.
And there's an interesting thing goes on with young pitchers. You get called to the big leagues, and usually the pitching coach will tell you, let's not over prepare for this game. Just do what you do. Then you get into the rotation. Now you're here. Now you start to prepare even more and more. And the challenge for a young pitcher is to not overthink and try to remember that kind of basic approach as much as you can. Take the information you can use, but don't overthink. Don't start picking, because all of a sudden you hear that Aoki is really good at hitting this particular pitch.
Braun drives it out to center. It's deep. Catch made by Jay, and the throw will come back into second base. The runner from second, Aoki, tags up, and Segura was just about at the bag at second base and then had to retreat to the bag at first. 1 away.
Look at both runners. Aoki knows that this is going to be caught, and it's deep enough that he can go from second to third. Segura, on the other hand, knows that he's not going to be able to tag from first to second at that distance, so he goes halfway, and when the ball is caught, makes his way back to first.
Carlos Gomez has turned into a very fine player. He's hitting over 400 this last month for Milwaukee. He's third in the batting race, and he looks at a ball just inside. Very tight zone here from Ted Barrett early on, the crew chief. Milwaukee really feels they have three players they can build around, and this is one of them. Carlos Gomez signed him to a 3-year extension. They've also talked about trying to lock up Gene Segura, and they've got Braun in the fold for a number of years. So those three could be middle of this lineup for years to come. Gas needs the double play. Spring training, I talked to John Gast about his move. And by the way, when he was called up, he had already picked off 5 at Memphis. And he said it's not the base stealers that he would normally get. He said it's the guys that would have that very short lead, really almost a one-way lead. And he said they would just be shocked that he'd throw over and he'd just catch him napping.
And I'm sure he's had people say, why would you throw over when that guy's there? He's not going to steal. Well, I'll tell you why. Because if I pick him off, that's one less guy running around the bases.
Sure.
And I don't have to pitch to that guy who's trying to hit a line drive off my forehead. I mean, that's the bottom line of a pitcher's mentality of controlling the running game. If you can use it as a weapon and you can pick off 10 guys a year, let's say, how many runs does that equate to? How many wins does that equate to? And my philosophy, Dan, is I believe I had 11 or 12 pickoffs my first year in the big leagues. And my philosophy was I'm going to balk or come as close to balking as possible when it's Tim Raines at first base, because he's going to steal second anyway, or Juan Samuel at the time, or Julio Franco.
Strikeout of Gomez. Took something off that pitch at 80 miles an hour. Now he's just 1 out away from getting away from this jam.
Different case, though, for John Gast, because he's got a catcher who's going to throw everybody out anyway, so there's no sense in blocking. And here's a delivery of Gast away and moving away, and gets him with the change of speed.
Cardinals have done that a lot this weekend with Gomez, trying to get that first pitch strike, but then really the changeup has become an effective pitch against him.
And he's starting to get frustrated.
Yes, he is. Slammed his bat last night. Here's Betancourt. He pops it up, and that'll find the seats out of play.
Talk about frustration. Betancourt 3 for his last 40. He's a guy that when he's hot, very hard to pitch to. We've seen him that way. He's hit home runs against the Cardinals in bunches, and actually has pretty good power, 8 home runs on the season, but he is in a horrendous slump right now.
Cardinals in these 3 series catch a break that Corey Hart is still on the disabled list. Betancourt is at first base. There's a strike on the inside corner. That pitch inside to righties.
That'll be a key pitch for him. That sets up the changeup away. Makes the plate wider for Betancourt to have to cover.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Runner goes. Yachty fakes the throw. They've got him hung up between third and home. A race to the plate. Freeze diving. Got him. Gassed out of the inning. Slow to get up. He says he's all right. And the Cardinals get out of the jam here in the first. Mike Matheny out of the dugout, applauding his team. The tag clearly got him. The Plaza Tire Service replay. Cardinals coming up in the home half of the first. Third and a home. Not the cleanest of rundowns, but it works out for St. Louis.
Middle infielders are very aware that Yadi's not going to throw, so on the steal attempt, they don't cover. But Yadi fakes the throw. The ball's in his glove, by the way. And now he throws down to third base, and the Cardinals have been very good at a lot of things this year. Rundown's not one of them. That play too close at home, right call, but you need to force the guy back to third base once you have him in a rundown. And a lot of things going wrong in the rundown world for the Cardinals, but bottom line, big-time play by Yadier Molina, and he was indeed out at the plate.
And the Cardinals get out of the jam here in the first inning. That could have been dangerous with 2 runners on, nobody out, and Braun at the plate. Here is Kyle Lohse, your old buddy, back now with Milwaukee, and the first pitch is strike 2, his former teammate Matt Carpenter.
Cardinals will face 2 former teammates in a row. Kyle Lohse today, Jason Marquis for San Diego tomorrow. Lohse in his career 2-4 with a 3.65 ERA against the Cardinals overall. Of course, that includes his time with Cincinnati and Philadelphia.
I remember talking with Kyle Lohse last year about first pitch strikes. Right now he is 5th best in the league at 69% first pitch strikes. He led the league in that category 2011, 2012. And I said, are you worried about developing that pattern where hitters get aggressive early in counts? And he said, absolutely not. He said, I vary it with a curveball, fastball, my changeup. He'll mix in the cutter. And he said, look, once I get that first pitch strike, I'm in the driver's seat.
You mentioned the tight strike zone in the top of the first inning. That is not a good thing for Kyle Lohse. He's a guy that if you have a wide zone, he will exploit it. Gets the corner there. Matt Carpenter doesn't like that call.
A look at this lineup. Just saw Matt Carpenter, now Beltran and Holiday, Craig Molina, Jay, Freeze, Cosma, and Gast, who is hitless thus far in his brief major league career. Around the horn brought to you by Dobbs. Braun, Gomez, Aoki in the outfield, Bianchi at third, Segura, Weeks, Betancourt along the infield, and behind the plate today, Martin Maldonado. Strike to Beltran, part of a double switch late last night.
Big numbers against Lohse for Carlos Beltran. Power numbers. Batting .511 and also a number of walks to go along with it. He's on base almost 70% of the time he's faced Lohse, and a lot of at bats in that. It's not a small sample size.
Here's the 0-2 pitch to Beltran.
And you mentioned Lohse's control. He did walk 5 batters in his last outing. Very uncharacteristic of Kyle Lohse. Top 10 every year and lowest number of walks per 9 innings. In fact, he's still on that list despite the 5 walks against the Pirates.
1 out, nobody on, and an 0-2 pitch. Beltran pops it up to the left side. Foul territory. Bianchi is over near his own dugout and makes the catch. Well, the difference maker in this game and for the season for Kyle Lohse has been run support. Lack thereof. 15, and that's why you see the record of 1-4. He's pitched much better than that record indicates.
Hasn't won his last 4 outings. Very little support there. In fact, left a game, the 5-walk game against the Pirates, and he was leading that game, and the bullpen blew a save.
Here's a question for you, Rick. Who has the advantage when you face a teammate that you were not just teammates with for 1 season, but a number of years, like Lohse and Holiday here?
Well, I'm not so sure that Lohse spent much time figuring out how to get Holiday out when they were teammates, and vice versa. They study video so much of the opponents and the opposing teams that they don't really, unless it's a glaring weakness, they're not going to really spend much time thinking about their teammates.
Here's a 1-1 pitch from Lohse. High fly ball opposite way. Aoki playing very deep anyway, and he makes the catch. Cardinals and their fans enjoying this 10-game homestand, which comes to a conclusion today. Redbirds will be in San Diego tomorrow night. Betancourt was left at the plate after that rundown between third and home. And the first pitch by Gast to start this second inning is taken for a ball. Milwaukee 9.5 games back of St. Louis. The start of play today, record of 17-24. And on the road, they have just 7 wins, 7-13. It's sharply to third, backhanded by Freese. Notice last night how much better David Freese is starting to move laterally, but also just even with the back and getting to a ground ball like that, it just seems to be a lot more smooth, free, and easier for him.
And really, he's been saying for weeks, Dan, that there's no physical issues going on with him. He's just having a hard time timing-wise at the plate, but he does seem a little bit sprier at third base. Even the Friday night game made a couple of really nice plays on hard hit balls and seems very confident defensively. And was pretty exciting to see him hit one straight away center field.
Up the middle, Cosma to his left, quickly to first, and gets Bianchi. Pete Cosma showing a little range here and the quickness out of the glove and to first base.
And that's something that Pete Cosma is working on, going up the middle. Cardinals have talked about his range going to his right as in the hole as being outstanding, but a little more choppy with his steps up the middle. And Cosma, I think, is even getting better defensively. And really, still in my mind, Dan, just catch the ball. Catch the ones you're supposed to catch. And if you can do that as a shortstop, you'll be valuable.
Ricky Weeks off to a very slow start. They've got to get this guy going, hitting just 175. Quickly, no balls and 2 strikes. Over his last 9 with the 6 strikeouts. Will Gast make it 7? Ooh, just missed.
Dan, I like the way he pitched out of that first inning, but it also shows how important your defense is to you. Yadier Molina picking off Aoki at third base. Made Gast look even better.
Two balls and 2 strikes on Weeks. We know he's got tremendous power. He's put up big numbers in the past. Bianchi is really pushing him for some playing time. Full count.
We've seen it from Seth Maness out of the bullpen, but we're seeing it from John Gast as well. Working quickly. Get their sign, get back on the rubber.
Off-speed pitch. And the strikeout of Weeks, the 3-2 changeup by John Gast. His second strikeout. Betancourt started the inning with a grounder to Freese. Then it was Cosma to his left. Takes a hit away from Bianchi. And the strikeout of Ricky Weeks. The Cardinals have Craig, Molina, Jay due up. No score here at Busch. of this second inning. Beautiful afternoon for baseball here at Busch Stadium. Toyota keys to the game. Highest average against Kyle Loesch, Molina, Freese, and Holiday. David Freese has really hit all Milwaukee pitching very well. Yachty in the top 10 in the batting race of the National League. And here is Alan Craig. First pitch is fouled and into the seats. So Mike Matheny before today's game said that the Cardinals will call up Tyler Lyons, lefty from Memphis, to take Garcia's spot in the rotation. That'll be Wednesday night in San Diego. Now, he did not give us any clue as to what the corresponding roster move would be, but the team does not have to make that until Wednesday morning. Lyons is at 2-1, 4.47 ERA at Memphis, 38 strikeouts in just over 46 innings of work. Mitchell Boggs, by the way, is back in uniform and ready to go in the bullpen if needed today. High chopper towards third base on this High Sox Sunday. Craig retired for the first out.
Really a test for the Cardinals now that they have to deal with a couple of their starting pitchers who are hurt. Jake Westbrook on the 15-day disabled list, and he's still not quite right, so it's unsure of when he'll return. But Jaime Garcia, we have a nice round of applause here for Yachty as he steps in the box. Garcia will be out for some period of time, and it looks like it's going to be an extended period of time. So the test is, who will respond in that Cardinal rotation? The Cardinals have already had to deal with that from their closer. That was their first big test of the year, is how do you replace Jason Mott? Now you've got to figure out how to replace a couple of guys in your rotation.
Here's a grounder towards short. Segura backs up, and Molina makes the play. So Tyler Lyons gets the call. We were talking about it on Friday night. Michael Wacha has been as impressive of a pitcher the Cardinals have, major leagues or minor leagues. Let's check in with Jim Hayes. And Jim, why not Michael Wacha to take that spot in the rotation?
Well, Wacha is 4-0 at Memphis with an ERA of 1.89. John Mozeliak says a couple of reasons. One, they like Lyons, doesn't want to lose that fact. Number two, he says Wacha's just now getting used to a 5-man rotation. They want him to get used to that. Also, he said they want to avoid stressful innings. He said every pitch matters at the big league level. They don't want to expose him to that. He says this is not about the salary clock. It's about long-term development for Wacha. And Mozeliak says, don't worry, Wacha's time will come.
Here is John Jay at the 0-1 pitch. Is lined into center field for a base hit. The Cardinals' first hit this afternoon. So, Jim, again, it's not a financial decision in starting the clock of Michael Wacha, but more about the innings. And again, you know, this time last year he was pitching the Super Regionals for Texas A&M, and then you're asking him to come in and be a part of this major league staff.
Yeah, John Mozeliak said he's heard all the talk about the salary clock starting, and he said, you know, that's a part of the picture, but a very small one. This is about developing a very good young pitcher who still needs more time. And he says people are going to see Wacha, just not right now.
The strike on the outside corner. Thank you, Jim. And you know, the Cardinals have even talked about Shelby Miller trying to figure out ways to curtail his innings, making sure that that workload isn't too much, too stressful this year. If you add another rookie, that could be the case in Wacha's case, not necessarily with someone that's been in professional baseball.
Well, the thing you have to balance that with is, why wouldn't that be true of Tyler Lyons, who's getting called up, who has very little experience in the minor leagues as well? The difference is that Wacha is a high ceiling guy, and Lyons could be too, but Wacha is almost a can't miss high ceiling guy, and I'd imagine that's how John Mozeliak would answer that question, because you're bringing some high stress on this young left-hander too, putting him in a rotation. He's just 24 years of age. He's not been around very long either.
You also are 27-15. You have a little cushion here right now that, you know, most teams don't enjoy. If you felt your team was going south, or, you know, really needed that premier arm, you might make the move, but they're dealing in a position of strength and having the luxury to say, let's continue to develop Wacha in the minor leagues.
And overall, we saw Jermaine Curtis earlier
this year as well. He had good numbers in AAA, and he's been a decent player in the minor leagues. And at some point, you know, you want to reward your guys who are having good years too, and not just the big time talent that you might see, but you know, who deserves a shot.
Second strikeout for Loesch, and we're scoreless after 2 here at Busch Stadium. Schnucks, your neighborhood hometown grocer. Steel, available exclusively at a servicing Steel dealer near you. Visit steeldealers.com. And the Cardinals, Fox Sports, and the state of Missouri teaming up to help you stop smoking. Quit now, 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
Someone supposedly heard that it was High Heel Sunday and not High Sock Sunday. Were those your shoes there, Dan?
No. You are onto something, though, because if it's going to sell a ticket, we'll make it high heels whatever day. Bring him in.
New idea.
There's a strike to Martin Maldonado. There it is. That's a good look.
That reminds me of the time the Cardinals had to dress up per Lance Berkman on the road. That was a pretty sight.
It depends on your point of view. I'm not sure it was a pretty sight.
All the rookies were forced to wear wigs and dresses and crazy outfits, and then they stopped the bus about 2 blocks from the hotel and made them walk the last 2 blocks.
Were you hazed your rookie year?
Not like that, thankfully. I just
something
wasn't
you can repeat on the air.
Yelled at, not talked to.
The normal stuff.
Yeah, that kind of hazing. Nothing beyond that, thankfully.
You were hoping to be hazed like the guys were last year. It's driven into left center field. Here goes John Jay. Yes, sir. He's got it. Tracks it down in the gap in left center. Heading to San Diego, and makes me think of one of your great ideas from a year ago. We had a streaker on the field, and in San Diego, the ballpark is right smack dab in the middle of downtown, and this particular individual hopped the fence, ran on the beach in right center. The beach that they have there at the ballpark is Kyle Loesch. Looks at a strike and then took off right down the city. And if the Cardinals went on a little run after that, you thought that was the next rally squirrel. So you were trying to figure out how to get that streaker on a ring.
And we laughed a bit over that, didn't we?
The 0-2 to Loesch, and it swung on and missed. So first time through the lineup, John Gast with 3 Ks.
Defensive help for Gast in the early going. Molina's throw in the first, and this play by John Jay. The direct route that he takes in center field is so important. ball's in the gap, you've got to read it right, and you've got to make a beeline to where you think you're going to be able to cut it off, and that's exactly what John Jay did. Very confident in center field, and I think that's grown, Dan. Early part of the season, the jumps and the breaks not quite as good as what we've seen in the last 3 weeks.
Here is Aoki. It's funny how baseball works. You have a little success at the plate, and all of a sudden your entire game takes on a different level. Maybe that's what we're seeing here with John Jay too.
Hard to separate the two. When you are feeling good as a player, you run the bases better, you trust your instincts better, you're not overthinking. You know, it's a thinking man's game on one hand, but sometimes you just have to just be kind of brain dead too when you play. Just kind of react. So you think to prepare, but then you react to the situation.
One and two the count on Aoki. Walked to start the ball game. The rubber game between Milwaukee and St. Louis this afternoon. Outfield very shallow. That's about as shallow we'll see John Jay play in center field. The 2-2 slapped, and it's a base hit. Just guided it past the shortstop Cosma, and a 2-out base hit for Aoki. For every Cardinals win this week and again today if they win, fans save $3 off pavilion level tickets to see the Cards and Diamondbacks. That's June 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Means that could lead to $4 tickets. Cardinals currently 4-2. And those tickets will go on sale, by the way, on Wednesday, and they will go quickly when you line up at Cardinals.com. Strike to Segura, who singled back in the first.
And I've heard baseball fans say that they do not believe it's possible to direct the flight of the ball off the bat from a hitter's point of view. And we saw a case right there of a hitter doing exactly that. He knew where he was hitting that ball. It was on purpose. And it's the perfect way to beat a shift is to have the ability to hit it in the other direction from the shift. And you can shift all you want. But if a batter has that kind of ability to place the ball, and I believe that Aoki does, he's going to beat it more than you'd like.
Here's a 1-1. Ground ball to the right side. Segura thrown out at first, and Milwaukee strands a runner. Gassed very good thus far. No score midway through 3. Brewer. All guys that had great success here in St. Louis. Matheny, Suppan, Edmonds, and Loesch.
It's a tough question.
Sure is.
Painful for some Cardinal fans to have to answer that.
If you're Doug Melvin, general manager of Milwaukee, as Pete Kozma digs in, I wonder, in the back of his mind, there was a lot of heat that the organization took when they signed Suppan, and he didn't live up to the expectations of the contract, didn't pitch like he did as a Cardinal. Then he goes out, similar type guy to an extent in Kyle Loesch, and he signs him, gives him a lot of money, 3-year deal. Wonder just in the back of his mind if that made that decision a little bit tougher as Segura makes the play and Kozma retired.
I would say yes and no. I just think Kyle Loesch was on a different plane. A year ago, Kyle Loesch was 16-3. And Suppan, as much as I love Jeff Suppan, he was a 3 starter or a 4 starter, but Kyle Loesch really worked himself into a 1 or 2 starter and a 2.86 ERA. He was 7th in the Cy Young balloting. I mean, you're talking about another level, I would say. And so that not being able to sign late into spring training for Kyle Loesch, I'm sure it was a frustration for him. And at 34 years of age, clearly his age was working against him. But I think it was a good sign for the Brewers to take a flyer on him. But of course, it's their money.
First pitch strikes. We talked about this earlier. Nearly 70% of the time, and he is 9 for 9. First time through this lineup. There's been some other great names that have worn both uniforms. Ted Simmons, Pete Vukovich. How about Fernando Vina? That's another one. Important part of those teams in the early 2000s for Tony La Russa. Good cut there by Gast. Trying to pick up his first major league hit.
Have we said Cal Eldred yet?
Doesn't count.
Our buddy. Working with the Cardinals now as a coach.
Gast to swing and a miss, and first time through the lineup. 3 strikeouts for Kyle Loesch. Don't forget, you can watch us on your favorite mobile device, MLB.tv, where baseball is everywhere. Over 350 supported mobile devices, all in HD. MLB.tv. Here's Matt Carpenter, who's been very good from this leadoff spot. .317 when hitting leadoff. It's 3rd best among all National League players. And his on-base percentage, maybe even more importance when looking at a leadoff man than even the average, is well above that 400 mark. So getting on base, being a table setter, one of the top leaders in runs scored.
Teams have started employing the shift on Carpenter as well. The shortstop Segura very close to second base, really giving him the left side of the infield.
Carpenter, a fly ball into center, put away by Gomez. We are scoreless after 3 on this Sunday afternoon here at Busch Stadium. there he is, the living legend, Chris Jericho of the WWE, with our ceremonial first pitch. And he'll be in action along with many of the wrestlers tonight at Scott Trade Center. Tickets still available down the street.
I notice he's working off the first base side of the rubber to Fred Bird. Really likes the pitches in, so he's going to try to pitch him away. And he does. I'd stay away from Fred Bird if I had that opportunity.
There's Ryan Braun and Matt Adams sitting back there in that crouch stance saying, will you please just throw the baseball. Also a ceremonial first pitch from Chris Duncan, our colleague. That swung on and missed. Chris is raising awareness for cancer research. Obviously his family has been hit with cancer, his mother and Chris himself. He threw out the ceremonial first pitch. Braun lined out to center his first time up. Notice that the Brewer hitters, they get in the box now and starting to call time or step out, trying to disrupt this rhythm that Gast is in. They take their time getting back in. Works very quickly. Lifted out to left field. Holiday there, playing deep, makes the catch. Braun is 0 for 2. In steps Carlos Gomez. Gomez, a strikeout with 2 runners on. Back in the first inning. Gast was able to get him with the changeup, and again, that's what they've been featuring against Gomez. Ground ball. Kozma to his left, 2 away. Yuniesky Betancourt.
And you were talking about players that have played with both the Brewers and the Cardinals, and of course our Twitter poll has to do with the recent guys, but wow, what a long list of guys, and a couple of names that really pop out at me as I look at this list. It's Ted Simmons and Darryl Porter.
Sure.
And you think about the contributions those guys made to their respective teams. Really the tie in 1982 with the deal that Whitey Herzog made to really revamp the Cardinal club completely, and they end up in the World Series, but he also made the Brewers better. Cardinals had Raleigh Fingers for what, a day or a week,
right,
and never really in uniform, but he flipped him, sent him to the Brewers, and it's exactly the piece they needed, and both clubs end up in the World Series together, and that's really what a good trade should result in, is both clubs getting better. They improve their weaknesses and deal from a source of strength. And there may be a time as we get through this season, Dan, that the Cardinals will make a move. And good as the minor league system has been, sometimes you just have to make a move to get what you want.
The Yankee at the plate with 2 outs and a runner at first. And he is at third base today, and the Cardinals, I guess, say thank you, because that means Ramirez is on the bench. Aramis Ramirez has now faced the Cardinals 175 times. And among active players, he's first in hits against St. Louis, tied for second in home runs with 32. He had the 2 home run night on Friday. First in RBIs at 118. Went 3 for 5 yesterday, and yet he sits today.
He came off the disabled list. That was really the plan for Ron Renicky, was to not use him every day for a while, make sure he found some spots for him to rest, and I'm glad today is one of those spots. And what really threw me in looking at some of the numbers of Ramirez, and I would not have guessed it, that he has more home runs in his career than Carlos Beltran. And that he's 6th all time among third basemen. in baseball history.
Right. Lifted out to left. A little bit of a haze here at the ballpark. It's warm, it's muggy, and both pitchers have really settled in. Second major league start for John Gast. For Milwaukee, the one for St. Louis was a single by John Jay. Carsoup.com, Nancy from Champaign, Illinois. How can Loesch use his knowledge of Cardinal batters in this ball game today?
Actually, Nancy's asking the same question you asked me earlier. And
she must be brilliant.
She is brilliant. She has a Dan McLaughlin kind of mind. And Nancy, I hope
she doesn't have that.
Enjoy that comparison. But just to expand on that a little bit, Kyle Loesch, as a Cardinal, again, is going to spend all his time thinking about the opposing team. And unless there's a glaring weakness in a player, let's say a guy never hits a changeup or he seems to struggle with breaking pitches, you'll notice that as a teammate, but you won't spend a lot of time worrying about it. It's really those intense meetings you have with your pitching coach and your catcher talking about the other team where you kind of get locked in on how to pitch somebody.
Numbers, as you talked about for Beltran, are incredible against Loesch. 23 for now 46. 4 home runs, 11 walks. He's only struck out 5 times. So I'll take that question a little further as Beltran adds to those numbers with a base hit into right.
And the 11 walks is a surprise too, because Loesch doesn't walk that many batters.
So you got a guy that owns you. I'm sure Loesch is probably thinking to himself, I've tried everything in 50+ at bats to this guy and I can't get him out.
The key thing that a pitcher does on a particular team is he finds a guy that has stuff like him, and you'll go to that. I spent a lot of time talking to Ken Daly about how to approach left-handed batters. Now, I didn't have stuff like Ken Daly. He threw hard and was nasty, but being left-handed, wanting to know, how does Keith Hernandez react to the ball in against you? How does he handle off-speed pitches? And that was a regular conversation. You can talk all you want.
Holiday lifts it out to deep right field. Aoki playing so deep and makes the catch on the track and on the run. Boy, he plays a deep right field. Any other right fielder doesn't come up with that.
I think he jumped out of the stands and came down on the field, made that play. I mean, he had the perfect route to it because he was so deep, and he still goes a long way to get it. Very good outfielder.
Well, he got burned the other night. Proved to be the game-winning hit and RBI, as this replay is brought to you by Hyundai. He was playing deep against Holiday, and remember, he just blooped a fly ball into right that dropped in for a hit that normally is caught. Win some, you lose some.
So if you're Kyle Loesch and you come to the Brewers, you might ask Marco Estrada, how has he pitched Carlos Beltran? Their stuff's similar, a bit of a stretch, but you're not going to ask Willie Peralta, who throws 97 right now, how are you getting Beltran out, or what's your idea, or how does he react to you? But you find that one guy on your team and you kind of become the best scouting report available for your teammate.
Beltran, a leadoff hit, stands at first. One out. Here's Craig. Big news here at the ballpark is that Tyler Lyons will make his debut. Wednesday start at San Diego. We'll have that for you on Fox Sports Midwest. All 3 games from California against the Padres, then the off day, and we'll see Los Angeles. Curveball lifted out to left. That's a base hit as Loesch hung that breaking ball to Craig.
All smiles as Alan Craig. He gets a mistake pitch from Kyle Loesch. He doesn't make a lot of them, but this one just sits right up in the middle of the plate. It's one of those pitches, the minute you let it go, you think, please just don't get underneath it. Hit it on the line somewhere. Keep it in the ballpark.
Boy, major league hitters, they just do not miss mistakes.
Every step along the way to the big leagues, that's the difference. The A-ball guys can hit fastballs too, but you can get away with more mistakes in A-ball and then less in AA, even fewer in AAA. In the big leagues, you hang a slider like that, 9 times out of 10 somebody's going to hit it hard.
Very good looking crowd on this Sunday. Place is packed. And here is Molina with 2 on, 1 down. He grounded out to short first time up. Up the middle. Can it sneak through? It will. Gomez, no play at the plate, and Yachty delivers their first run. Beltran scores. St. Louis on top.
Molina finds a hole up the middle. Couple feet either way. And Loesch gets the double play he wants, but right up the middle. Sneaks past Segura. Carlos Beltran, watched him. He ran very well from second to third. And Alan Craig wisely stays at second and does not test Gomez's arm.
And now it's Jay. Jay pulls it fair. 1 run at least will score. Molina on his way to third. Jay into second. He is safe as he delivers. It's 2-0 Cardinals. Gets past Betancourt at first, and remember with Jay, they're even putting a little shift on with him, so pulled it perfectly down the line.
Molina found the hole up the middle. John Jay finds it over the first base bag. Alan Craig scores the second Cardinals run. Molina is able to go first to third, picking up Oquendo. Bit of a wide turn, no problem there, and then John Jay sliding safely into second base with a good hustle on a good throw from Aoki.
Now it's David Freese. Infield is in. Molina was shooting down the line at third.
That close play at second base. This is the double. Just barely. That throw was right on the money.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Freese. 1 ball, 1 strike. We've seen Freese a lot of these pitches in this rut that he's in. Exactly what just happened there. Little indecisive, ball gets kind of deep on him and just a shade tardy on these pitches. You wonder if he's just recognizing them a little late as well.
Part of the seeing the ball that players talk about, and David's talked a lot about it. Got to see it to hit it.
The 1-1 pitch.
And when they say see it, that phrase, Dan, is pregnant with meaning. It's not just literally see the baseball. It's see the spin, pick up location that you're going to have to cover based on where that delivery is coming from the pitcher, seeing it out of his hand, and having a clear vision of what that velocity is going to be like. So you are ready.
Here's a 2-1. 2-2.
And if you don't see it well, you jump at it. And a bit of a jumpy swing there for David, almost a reaction swing as opposed to a nice, smooth, timed swing.
The 2-2. Freese stays alive.
Fairly shallow in the outfield for David Freese.
Big gap in left center. The 2-2. Freese fights it off. That's a base hit. One run is in. And they'll hold up Jay at third. David Freese delivers to make it 3-0 St. Louis. That's 5 hits against Loesch here in this 4th inning.
We know that David Freese has good power to all fields, but the Brewers, thinking that he may go to a 2-strike swing, come in the outfield. And that is indeed a 2-strike swing. David Freese just taking it the other way. But because Aoki is in, the Cardinals are only able to score 1 run and have to hold John Jay at third. The little things defensively that a team will do to try to get an advantage, and it paid off there for Milwaukee.
One out, runners at the corners for Pete Kozma. It's good that Kozma has been playing well and hitting well. Average at .263. Because you look down in the minor leagues, Ryan Jackson is hitting near .400. I believe at the start of play today, he's at .373. So good for Ryan Jackson. They like his glove.
Yeah, he did not have a very good spring training with the bat, so I think maybe soured a bit on him, but certainly getting it done now. Really, for Call being injured, and I guess you'd say Chris Carpenter, that was blow number 1 for the Cardinals this year. Blow number 2 was Jason Mott getting hurt at the end of spring training. Cardinals were able to overcome both of those. Bullpen problems, I think, was hurdle number 3. And the Cardinals have brought in some fresh blood to handle that. And I think they're right now smack dab in the middle of problem number 4, which is how to overcome the injuries to the starting rotation. And how do they handle that? And John Gast providing a pretty good answer so far this afternoon.
Head the count here, 2 balls and 1 strike. Would you think squeeze play?
Sure.
Pitcher on deck. Runners go. The squeeze is on. Kozma delivers with the squeeze. And with that, it's 4-0.
Everything done perfectly on this squeeze, including Dan McLaughlin stealing the sign and knowing that it's coming. You can't leave too early. You let the bunt get down, then you scamper home. And from the hitter's point of view, just bunt it fair. It doesn't matter where it is. But Kozma gets a little more than that as the ball gets past Loesch. He tries to make the spectacular play. He's a very good fielder. You wouldn't put that past Kyle Loesch to make that play. Mike Matheny being very aggressive. And Dan McLaughlin showing his pull here at Busch Stadium.
The signals will come from the booth to Matheny, then to Oquendo, down to the hitter. So
very elaborate system we have.
Yes, glad Mike picked up on that. We had changed the signals in the 6th inning of last night's game.
Changed the indicator, right?
Yes, we did. Gast showing bunt and looks at a ball inside. Still only 1 out.
So you have Loesch on the ropes here. Certainly a frustrating inning for him. A couple of ground ball hits, well hit, but they found holes. From his point of view on the mound, he could have easily thought, okay, here's the ground ball I needed. The double play inning over. Didn't happen twice. Now a squeeze. sure he's battling some emotions right now.
1-0 pitch inside. 2 balls and no strikes. I'm a little surprised, and maybe because it's Loesch against his former team. He pitches so well here. A little surprised they haven't had at least a visit to just collect himself. It's only a 4-run lead. But in this inning, you know, we've seen now 6 base hits, and knowing Kyle Loesch like we do, just seeing his reaction, which many times you don't see much at all, he is hot.
He's throwing the ball up and in on Gast, and then he's staring into the Cardinal dugout like he's mad the Cardinals are bunting. So it's kind of an odd little period for Kyle Loesch right here. And I agree, somebody's got to talk to him. And maybe Maldonado's not the guy. Maybe the pitching coach is. But he just seems very, very frustrated right now.
For a guy that's got great control, it does raise an eyebrow or two when you see something like that.
Well, I noticed the look into the Cardinals dugout after the second ball up and into Gast, and he had that kind of dagger look into the Cardinal dugout, which, again, not fully comprehending why he would be upset about the Cardinals bunting here.
Here's a 3-1 pitch. Gast again squaring to bunt, and gets it down, but not far enough. Out at second, and still a chance at first, and Gast is safe. Nearly did his best impersonation of Joe Kelly, flying down that first base line, and he's all right.
Well, credit Pete Kozma for going in hard at second base. That could have been very easily a double play, and if it had been handled differently by Weeks, if he'd have caught that and come forward instead of jumping straight up, that's an easy double play. Maldonado with the good throw, but he just takes it right where Kozma's sliding instead of kind of catching it and moving towards the infield, and it's still a close play at first base. Kozma got down there very, very quickly.
Extends the inning now to Matt Carpenter, who struck out and also fly to center. One out, runners at first and third. One-0 pitch, taken for a ball. Now you're starting to see that control again from Loesch. So going back to the Gast at bat, it certainly seemed to be a message trying to be sent from Kyle Loesch, but again, why? Runners at the corners. It's been a long inning here for Kyle. The 2-0 pitch to Carpenter. Out in front. Took something off it, and he pops it up, but a big inning for St. Louis. The Cardinals now with 7 hits against their former teammate, as Loesch is barking at Jose Oquendo. Back in with Jim Hayes, and Jim, new addition to the bullpen and a guy that we're all pulling for, and he was a closer beginning of the season. Now back on track, we hope, and that's Mitchell Boggs.
Yeah, Boggs back with the Cardinals. Went to Memphis, made 6 appearances, 5 scoreless in his last outing, 1/3 of an inning, gave up 3 earned runs. He said he's not worried about the numbers. He said he went down to work and to tweak some things mechanically, and he feels like he's a better pitcher for it. He says he feels confident that he can help this ball club win games. He knows everything he went through won't mean anything, however, if he goes into a ball game and doesn't do his job. But he told me today feels like the first day of the season for him because it's a new beginning.
Well, the Cardinals now, and looking at what may happen this inning, Kyle Loesch is due up third. Thank you, Jim. And it's Weeks, Maldonado, and Loesch coming up. Loesch was barking at the Cardinals walking off the field. You may have seen that going to break, and we had a little bit more footage of that, but he was hot about something St. Louis did, and I'm not sure as to why he would be. It's not like it was 10-0 in a squeeze play. It's
right.
A tight ball game, and Cardinals trying to pick up a win as Weeks flies it into center, and Jay makes the catch, and there's one away.
Best I can guess, Dan, is he's just frustrated by that inning in general, which is understandable, and he's kind of taking it out on the Cardinals. But he was barking at Jose Oquendo when he came off the field, and he wanted to make sure that that message was delivered to the Cardinals dugout, whatever it was, and we weren't lip reading at the time. But Kyle Loesch was not happy in that inning, and I think it showed with the way he pitched John Gast up and in. And it'd be interesting to see if Kyle just got that out of his system and now he's okay, or whether or not there's something that's ongoing here.
And clearly it was the squeeze play that upset him. That's my best guess.
But it's 2-0 at the time.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense why he'd be upset with that.
4th inning of a game. Maybe he's mad that you called it.
And usually Jose Oquendo is the deep end of the dugout. Right now he's talking to Mike Matheny. I'm sure those two are discussing what was happening. And Loesch is on deck. Now, if you're John Gast, it's your second major league start. You want to stay in this game. You want to have a chance to win it, go to 2-0. However, you're also a baseball player, and the opposing pitcher just went high and tight with you on a few of those pitches. If you're John Gast, do you go high and tight a little bit with Kyle Loesch and say, look, I'm a rookie, but I'm also here to be part of a major league team and win games? Send a message.
I'm not sure what the Cardinals will want John Gast to do, but I think the best thing to do is to do nothing about it, but remember it. At this point, you've got a 4-0 lead. Why would you want to kind of awaken the other team?
And John Gast is sailing along, and in steps Kyle Loesch. It's always interesting to see the Cardinals dugout, and in particular the pitchers. They're all talking about it too, as Oquendo was visiting with them, and now Loesch having words with Molina in a professional way with his head down, Molina the mask on. Interesting. Now he's just standing at the plate.
I think Kyle thought that was going to be up and in on him as well. And the Cardinals just chose to pump strikes in, which again I think is a much better. I mean, he's the only one in the ballpark mad right now. And again, I understand the frustration. He got a couple of ground balls that didn't work out, Dan, but that's not, the Cardinals were not doing anything out of the realm of what a normal team would do. Still, to stare back into the Cardinals dugout.
31st, June 1st and June 2nd, fireworks night, then the Molina jersey. All kinds of giveaways for the kids. There's also a mystery bat they're going to throw in, and the best part about it, also the Six Flags Day, kids will get a ticket, a free ticket voucher to a future Cardinals home game. Well, Rick Horton, it's not like it's 10-0. It's only a 4-run lead with the Milwaukee offense that we know can be potent. Runs allowed against St. Louis for Loesch this year, 10. Rest of Major League Baseball, 13. He still is hot. We never saw last inning where Ron Renneke or the staff went out to calm Loesch down. He went high and tight on gas. There was a squeeze play he didn't like. He barked at Jose Oquendo, had a long conversation with Yadier Molina. So awful lot going on with Kyle Loesch in the center of things.
And you mentioned, Dan, a professional conversation with Yadier Molina, but it didn't seem as if it was a conversation that satisfied Kyle Loesch at all. First pitch to him, he actually was standing with his bat at his side and took strike one, as if he was disinterested
or getting ready to be plunked.
And again, or getting ready to be plunked. But again, we're just wondering whether the Brewers even know Loesch well enough to know how to handle him when he gets in this situation. Some pitchers want to be kind of redirected. Others want to be left alone. We haven't seen the catcher, Maldonado, go out and talk to him. But clearly he's agitated.
Beltran hits it down the left field line, and the catch is made by Braun. I threw it out on Twitter asking for responses to the question. Fans at home, did you see anything that maybe we didn't pick up on? And one of our viewers said that he didn't seem to be upset until the one pitch where Gast showed bunt, then pulled back as if to swing. Then that seemed to set him off. And that's fine, but this is a tight ball game, and again, it's not a big lead. Cardinals trying to do anything they can to push a run across. There's Matt Holliday, who's flied out to deep right. And 0 for 2. And he falls behind, nothing in 2.
And from all that we know about John Gast, which admittedly isn't very much, one thing we know about him is he doesn't say too much. Would be the least likely person in the ballpark to agitate somebody. He's kind of a quiet guy that goes about his business. So it wouldn't be a matter of him saying something in the box, Dan. And again, maybe, you know, one thing that agitates a pitcher, and I've dealt with this firsthand, is if a batter will on purpose try to throw you off when you're in the middle of your delivery by waving the bat, and maybe he thought that's what he was doing when he pulled the bat back. And again, just a guess, but that's something that seems like the type thing that would set a pitcher off that is unusual, that isn't done at this level. But I didn't really see that, and that's not how I saw it, but maybe that's how Kyle Loesch saw it.
Strikeout of Holliday, and that's number 4 today for Loesch. The Blues and Fox Sports Midwest teaming up for the Coleman St. Louis race for the Cure. That'll be on June 15th. That's a Saturday. For more information and to join the Blues and Fox Sports Midwest, head to stlouisblues.com. The only thing that would make this better is to see Chris Carpenter on the mound right now facing Nyjer Morgan. Then we'd have some fireworks. Strike on the outside corner to Alan Craig.
I understand Nyjer Morgan is playing in Japan, so
correct.
I don't think that's likely, Dan, for that scenario to happen, but it sure would be fun.
Pretty rapid fall from grace when you think about Nyjer Morgan. Had a prominent role on the team 2 years ago and then just didn't hit last year. 0-2 pitch to Craig. And most people on Twitter, Rick, agree with what we're saying, is that you have Loesch, and we showed the graphic. He's given up 10 runs against his former team. There's frustration there.
Against his former team that didn't sign him.
Correct. And a rookie is on the mound, pitching well. Loesch has not had run support in his game, so maybe just a buildup and a combination of a lot of things that set him off. The 1-2 pitch, fouled back. Craig today is 1 for 2. A single back in that big 4-run of 4th inning. And a run scored. He's also grounded out to third. Outfield is deep. They shade him to the opposite way. Craig pulls it foul.
We saw something earlier this year when A.J. Burnett was upset at the Cardinals dugout because of something that he thought they were saying about him on the mound. So there is also that possibility that some kind of comment or gesture came from the Cardinals dugout that Loesch just happened to pick up that may have set him off as well. That's a possibility. Burnett, in that particular case, thought it was coming from the Cardinals dugout, but it was really a fan. Right. So he later apologized for it because he basically pointed to the Cardinals dugout and told them to be quiet.
Here's a 1-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I mean, even that pitch right there, just the reaction from Loesch, reaction of frustration. Not many times do we see him do that. His tenure here in St. Louis, when he was healthy, very calm demeanor on the mound. Was able to hit spots, change speeds. The 2-2 to Craig. Skies one out to left, just missed it. Ryan Braun underneath it and puts it away. So 1-2-3 inning for Loesch, and we jump ahead to the 6th. Good ball game on this Sunday afternoon on Fox Sports Midwest. Side plot to this ball game has been, Loesch against his former team and some of his reactions. This was following the squeeze play. John Gast visiting with Oquendo after a visit from Maldonado and Kyle Loesch.
That's the third baseman giving Loesch the sign.
Really nothing pointing to the eyes, maybe stealing signs. I mean,
could be
that comes to mind potentially, which would frustrate anybody.
But the sign there is that was just a defensive sign that the third baseman was audibly giving the pitcher, which they do. The sign typically for the bunt defense comes into the third baseman, and he's giving the pitcher audibly the sign. And then if they're changing it because they think that was somehow stolen, then that's not unusual either. I mean, if you steal a defensive sign, but I don't know how they would have known what the Cardinals' reaction would be to their bunt defense.
Good breaking ball there to Aoki. 2-2.
Some people can pitch mad, some can't. It appears that Kyle Loesch can.
Slap the other way and into the seats. Just missed. Aoki today has walked and also single as Gaston did that call very close, and it's 3-2. Top of the lineup here for Milwaukee as they trail by 4. Up the middle and a base hit. Let's go pitch by pitch of the John Gaston bat and see if we pick up something here.
And again, Kyle Loesch already agitated at this point, and Gaston, a normal bunting situation. In the first pitch, he fires it inside. He's mad. He's still mad. Kyle Loesch's control is too good to be throwing that ball there by accident. And finally, he's able to throw a strike and then get the bunt that he wants. And he smartly calls for the catcher to throw to second base, too. So Kyle Loesch was kind of still having his wits about him then, but still angry at something the Cardinals did during that sequence, and we still don't quite have it nailed down. Very interested to hear what Kyle Loesch has to say after the game today.
Now it's Gene Segura, and you wonder how the Cardinals would have handled Loesch's at bat a little differently if it's not John Gaston on the mound. This is Gene Segura, the 1-0 pitch taken inside, 2 balls, no strikes. And remember the post game, Chris Duncan will be a part of that. You know that Chris was never opposed to a good old brawl.
I'd want him on my side.
You bet. And his dad.
Yep.
So those gentlemen, Jim Hayes, Pat Paris, Chris Duncan, will have all the sound from the clubhouse on both sides and hear what happened today. 2 balls and 1 strike on Segura. Meanwhile, it's still a very tight game with just a 4-run lead and a rookie on the mound.
One thing that was clear to me, and I'll get to your question about whether or not John Gast is the reason the Cardinals aren't retaliating or not, but I think the Cardinals didn't understand the offense at all, and that's why Molina was talking to him, and that's why there was so much conversation in the Cardinal dugout. To me, that's an indication of what's going on. I don't get it. And so it wasn't a very clear offense, and it's something that Loesch took a certain way, and they were even trying to understand it.
And that's a base hit into right. Aoki stops at second base. The Cardinals with a right-hander getting loose in the pen. You have to figure that'll be a short leash on John Gast. Tomorrow, Shelby Miller. What a rookie campaign he is putting together. Tied for best in the National League with a 1.40 ERA. 5-2. It is 8 games. It's our Budweiser What's on Tap. Rick and Al will have the call on Fox Sports Midwest. It's San Diego for 3. Off day, then in Los Angeles, and off to Kansas City.
To answer your question, are the Cardinals not kind of retaliating or doing something back to Kyle Loesch just because it's John Gast? My answer is no. I think this is a case of a pitcher who is self-destructing a bit, so let him do it. Don't give him a reason to really be mad at you by the retaliation. And I just think it's perfect from the Cardinals' point of view. You got a pitcher that's upset. Let him be upset.
And that ball scoots away from Yachty, but the runners stay put. Cardinals catch a break.
Off-speed pitch. Yachty doesn't quite get down enough. It looks like it may have hit off of Ted Barrett's leg. And a break for the Cardinals. Runners don't advance. Still a very tight game, Dan. 4-0 with this Brewers lineup. Not a big lead.
Especially with danger here in Braun. And that swung on and missed. A pitch at 79. Seth Maness continues to throw in the bullpen. Braun has lined out to center back in the first. Also flied out to deep left. Cardinals with 3 double plays turned last night. They could use one right here. Pitch count at 86 for John Gast. And that's taken for a strike. A little bit low, 2-2. Catches the bottom of the zone.
Really what he did in his first outing too, Dan. A lot of pitches down. Gast not afraid to pitch inside. The changeup really his best pitch. His curveball was kind of in and out in his last start. Looking for his second victory. He is again facing a pretty tough lineup here today.
The 2-2. He gets the ground ball. Can they turn 2? Out at second. No play at first. Runners at the corners. 1 away for Carlos Gomez. 5-4 on the fielder's choice. Gast has had that success with the big hitters, Rick. Those off-speed pitches, getting them out in front just a bit, over anxious, and he gets the ground ball there from Braun. And that'll be it, as Mike Matheny will go to his pen. A chance for Gast to go to 2-0. Five and a third. Our charter high-speed pitch of the day from Kyle Loesch at 93. John Gast, a lefty, at 91. Last rookie lefty to win his first 2 career starts was a guy named Ricky Horton back in 1984.
I didn't know that. That makes me root for John Gast even more. Certainly deserves a win here today. Outstanding performance. 88 pitches for Gast. Manus has been a ground ball machine and a strike machine.
Mentioned the other night how he reminds me of Brad Thompson. Again, another one of these minor leaguers that just gets the ball and goes. Chevy called to the pen. Manus is in. Can he get another double play? The 0-1 pitch. Hit out of play, and it's 0-2.
A 10-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio in his minor league career. A really, really good number is 3-to-1. I'd say you try to shoot for that. Kind of an average guy might be 2-to-1. And he was 10-to-1. Very rarely walks a batter.
Gomez hits it out of play. Some of the other suggestions that have come in from Twitter, and again, it's always good to hear from the viewers. They'll pick up on many things that we don't see or pick up on. And some have said they believe that Loesch seemed to be irritated at how long the signs were taking to get to the hitter. A few of the viewers thought that Loesch may have seen or heard something from the Cardinal dugout, which is something we speculated on, but we'll have all that coming up in the postgame. 0-2, a check swing, and he went. A strikeout of Gomez.
Good breaking pitch from Manus. Tough guy to double up in Gomez. But even better, he gets the strikeout pitch.
So runners at first and third. Betancourt has grounded out to third. He's also walked. Outfield is straight away. No activity for Milwaukee in their pen. Line drive and a base hit out to left, and Milwaukee gets on the board. It'll be charged to Gast. Betancourt picks up the RBI, his 25th.
Breaking pitch, middle of the plate. Kind of a get me over slider.
Aoki scoring for the first time in this ball game, but he has been doing that a lot last couple of weeks. That's fought off into center field. Braun being waved home. The throw by Jay, no throw, and Milwaukee has cut the lead to 4-2. That'll be charged to John Gast as well. And the tying runs are on. The potential go-ahead run comes to the plate in Ricky Weeks.
So the Brewers' first pitch swinging against Manus, who they know is going to throw strikes. Betancourt lines a single to left on a slider, and Bianchi gets jammed, but picks up another big hit in this series.
And here is Weeks, who is struck out, also fly to center, and there's a strike. Cardinals about hit Milwaukee 7-6 in the game, and they lead it 4-2. That closes the book on John Gast.
So Gast gives up a couple of runs here today. The bullpen not able to save those inherited runners, and he also had an issue in his last outing where the Cardinals didn't turn a double play, and he gave up a couple extra runs. So his ERA, again, Dan, not reflective of the good starts that we've seen from John Gast. Two very good starts in a row from him.
Weeks, 2 outs and runners in scoring position, hitless with 8 strikeouts. Can they make it 0 for 19? The 1-2 pitch. Doesn't chase. It's in the dirt, and the count runs full. All Gast can do is just sit and watch. Runners at first and second, off with this pitch, and a full count on Ricky Weeks. Be careful here. Got him. Strikeout. Weeks now 0 for 19 in those spots with 9 Ks. Brewers and the whip package. And this is John Gass, the starter for St. Louis.
Off-speed pitches, very good today. It showed a good changeup and stayed out of the middle of the plate for the most part. Fastballs in, changeups away. And a good outing for John Gast, hoping to go 2-0 and really doing a terrific job replacing Jake Westbrook. And Jake is off to such a good start, as was Jaime Garcia at 5-2, and the Cardinals are going to have to figure out a way again to replace those two guys. Kyle Oates back to work for the 6th inning. He settled down, had a very nice 1-2-3 fifth, facing Molina.
And Yachty shoots one foul out of play. So 5 strikeouts for Gast. Seth Maness strikes out 2, gives up a pair of base hits. The RBIs, though, charged to John Gast. Those runs. So 5 1/3 for Gast, and now it sets up for that 7th, 8th, and 9th for the Cardinals. And Mike Matheny, as we've seen, loves to have that pattern, and it's been settled a bit because of Mujica and what he's been able to do. He's pitched in both games of this series.
Fernando Salas might have the 7th. Not throwing now, but he's standing on the mound, so that's typically a call for Salas to go along with what happens in the inning. Runners get on, start heating up even more. Get to that 9th spot, you're going to be in, so just watch the game and throw accordingly.
Two and 2 the count. Molina with an RBI base hit back in the 4th. Run scored. He's also grounded out to short. And he hits it sharply to Betancourt. Backhands it, the former shortstop, and makes the play for the first out. Fox Sports is proud to partner with Johns Hopkins Medicine, and that's one of this year's Fox Sports Supports charities. Johns Hopkins is at the forefront of groundbreaking research into immune disorders like multiple sclerosis and lupus. Join us in the fight against autoimmune diseases. Donate now by heading to hopkinsmedicine.org/Fox. A 1 pitch to John Jay. Taken high. Jay is 2 for 2 with a single and a double. Braun makes the catch, and there's 2 away.
Game is a little too close for comfort. Kyle Loesch has done a nice job of settling down after that 4-run 4th inning. 6 straight, make that 7 straight, retired by Kyle Loesch. David Freese had a big hit in that 4th inning. And it was good to see, Dan. And David getting 2 hits a game in Milwaukee when the Cardinals swept there, and he's kind of back into a 1-hit a game now, but you know, that's okay. Just kind of starting to build that average back up again. It's going to take some time, but sometimes as a hitter you just have to take those baby steps.
Here's an 0-1 pitch to Freese. 1 ball, 1 strike, and David Freese with an RBI base hit back in the 4th, and struck out swinging his first time up. The 1-1. Fights that off, and that is fair. Aoki has a good arm. Freeze will test it. On his way to second. Diving in and gunned down by Aoki. Freeze trying to stretch that into a double. And a strong throw from the Milwaukee right fielder. Very good arm. Right on the money. Freeze may have been safe. With the fireworks night, the Rawlings Mystery Bat Night that is presented by Cooper Tires. And it's Friday, May 31st, all part of that kids kickoff to summer weekend presented by Ritz. And again, all those games that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you have a chance for your child to have a free ticket to a future game. So hope you take advantage of that and the savings and come on down to the ballpark. And that night, the Cardinals will play host to San Francisco. Logan Schaefer on deck. This is Martin Maldonado. Base hit into center field. And again, the tying run will be at the plate. Say good morning to the new Egg White Delight McMuffin. 8 grams of whole grain and just 250 calories only at McDonald's.
Maldonado breaks an 0 for 21 with that base hit up the middle against Maness, who's now given up 3 hits to the 5 batters he's faced. And some stirring in the Cardinals bullpen, but no action yet.
Ground ball base hit, and Maness has given up 4 base hits since he's come into the game, and we've got a little trouble now.
Logan Schaefer now 6 for 21 as a pinch hitter. Lets the ball get deep on him, takes it the other way. And that results in a trip to the mound by Derek Lilliquist. We don't see Derek come out a whole lot. And you think with a young pitcher, maybe he's got a very specific thing to say to him here. But I think part of the reason we don't see Derek is our starters and our relievers have been so good of late. Why bother? But beyond that, Yadier Molina can handle about 95% of what Derek Lilliquist would say to him, and he just gives some free rein to Yadi, which I think makes a lot of sense.
What's interesting too, Rick, is that the Cardinals have allowed 5 or more runs in 3 straight games for the first time this year. So it gives you the idea that the starters have been going deep. The bullpen has now been basically put back into place. The emergence of Mejica at the back end of games. And everything else seems to fall in after that. But we've got danger here. Aoki with runners at first and second. And nobody out. The Cardinals trying to hold on. They lead it 4-2. bunt and pushes it foul. Strike one.
Bunt defense for the Cardinals. They can't be sure of Aoki bunting, but certainly a possibility. Very good with the bat. Have to guard against it.
And he slaps it down the left field line, just foul. Ooh, the Cardinals nearly saw that go into the corner, and we'd had a tie game. His last at bat, we talked about how he's really got that good bat control. Remember, he just kind of guided it past Cosma. Ichiro does that. You brought up a very good name during a break. Tony Gwynn did that at times. Ozzie Smith.
Ozzie very good at it. Molina's good at it.
0-2 pitch in the dirt.
Aoki very difficult to strike out. Leads all of baseball in that department. Molina, ball in the dirt, just smothers it. Doesn't overreact, doesn't panic.
Slaps it the other way. It's a base hit into left field. And the Brewers will have the bases loaded. Nobody out. And the big bats coming up. Again, Aoki, bat control. This is why he's so tough to strike out.
It's not even a strike, and he just lays the bat head on the ball, and he knows exactly where that's going.
And Rosenthal right now is just getting to the mound and really starting to fire it. So this is Manus right here. So it's 5 base hits.
Salas was up. Now it's Rosenthal, and he is getting ready in a hurry.
You just hope it's not too late, though.
I'm thinking the same thing.
You know, this did happen in a hurry, but following the leadoff base hit, no activity in the bullpen. Nobody out, bases loaded. Off speed pitch, and he got away with it.
Wow.
It's popped up. Big out. Craig makes the catch. That's one that Gene Segura would love to have back.
And this is where, if you're not familiar with the pitch selection of Manus, you might say, oh, he did a good job right here. He got a guy out with the bases loaded. But that was not a good pitch. And that was to one of the best hitters in the National League right now, and he got away with it. That not lost on the Cardinals dugout, I'm sure. But they're going to stay with Manus.
I'm not sure you want Seth Manus to face Ryan Braun. You've got Rosenthal still throwing, getting loose in the pen. You could try to buy some time with a visit by Yachty, then have the pitching coach come out, make the move, or Mike Matheny. And instead, it's Manus and Braun with the game on the line.
Five hits given up by Manus. Did strike out Weeks and Gomez.
Can he get a double play or a strikeout? 1 ball and 1 strike. I guess the question you ask yourself, if you go down against Ryan Braun, do you want it with Seth Manus or Rosenthal, who has more experience, albeit not a lot, but more of a pressure situation at this time of the game?
Braun's a good fastball hitter. He also hits Rosenthal well.
Actually hit a home run against him earlier this year here.
Manus more likely to get a ground ball. All those factors involved. One of the problems of getting your relievers ready quickly with Manus on the mound, he doesn't give you time. He works quickly, which is good, and guys are putting balls into play quickly. So trouble could happen quickly.
And this is trouble right here. 3-1. Ryan Braun close your eyes.
Hitters count. It's like to see him a little bit over anxious, roll over, and ground ball to short.
Good pitch. So we have the full count. Reds, by the way, top of the ninth, leading the Phillies in Philly 2-1. The 3-2 pitch. Braun. Ground ball. Out at second. Oh, they got him. It's a double play. They take the chance at getting the double play and turning two. They do it off the bat of Ryan Braun, and Manus pitches out of the jam. Mike Matheny, his reaction, sticking with the youngster. It paid off. Cardinals on top 4-2. Telling our producer, our Twitter poll today presented by AT&T. Matheny, Suppan, Edmonds, or Loesch. Short-lived career for Jimmy in Milwaukee, but 47% favorite former Cardinal / Brewer.
Guess that's about how I thought that voting might go.
I thought Soup might get a little more than 13%.
Pitchers are not in the same category as those everyday guys as far as players or people are concerned. You go around St. Louis and everybody loves Yadier Molina, as you should. Pitchers every fifth day, you're not going to get quite as much love. K-Rod back in the big leagues.
Sound a little bitter, Rick.
Well, when we're on the Caravans, I always say that. Who's favorite? Who in here is your favorite player? Is David Freese? All kinds of people go nuts. Yadier Molina, people go nuts. Adam Wainwright, 2 people clap. And one of them's Wainwright on the Caravan with us. It's just, what's a guy got to do? Do I sound bitter?
Yes. And you are. And that's okay.
No.
It's all right. We'll have a session later.
Pitchers have an easy life.
This is Pete Kozma against Francisco Rodriguez. He's found another life with Milwaukee. The catch made by Aoki, and Kozma flies out. What a great deal on Cardinals tickets. Fill up at Phillips 66 with 8 gallons or more. Now until June 30th, and receive up to 50% off on a pair of tickets to a Cardinals home game. For more information, visit Cardinals.com/Phillips66. As Matt Adams, who started in the ball game last night, come off the bench to pinch hit, and this is a pronounced shift against Mr. Adams. By the way, Manus flirting with danger, but give him credit, gets out of the jam. The double play off the bat of Ryan Braun. 1 out, and the first pitch to Adams, taken for a strike.
Always fun to watch Matt Adams hit. He's been a very good pinch hitter. 3 for 7, including a home run. Just trying to stay ready.
Here's the 0-1. K-Rod has that very good changeup, and for a while it was one of the most devastating breaking balls in baseball, if not the best.
Right.
He was unhittable for a time with Anaheim. The 0-2, and he carves up Matt Adams, strikes him out. He signs a minor league deal to come to Milwaukee. Their bullpen was in shambles, and they say that K-Rod has been everything and then some since he's arrived on the scene.
Throwing arms and legs at you, then he takes something off on that delivery, and way out in front was Adams. I think the thing that surprised you and I, Dan, at the beginning of this series is talking to the Brewers broadcasters and them telling us that their bullpen coach and bullpen catcher were talking about his tremendous influence in that bullpen, that they've never seen a veteran pitcher handle the chore of leadership in the bullpen as well as K-Rod. And not sure why I was surprised at that, but they say he's just been phenomenal since coming up, and their bullpen's gotten better.
The chipped bat of Carpenter. 0-2 on Matt Carpenter. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, wrapping up 10-game homestand. Dan, Rick, and Jim with you. Cardinals leading 4-2 as a 4-run fourth. Milwaukee with 2 runs in the 6th. And they've had chances to either tie it up or take the lead twice in this game and have not been able to come through. So Rodriguez is in, the former Met and Angel. Now with Milwaukee, his second tour with them. As Carpenter flares one into shallow left. Segura, good speed. The shortstop makes the catch. And we played 7 here at Busch Stadium. Rosenthal, loose, ready, warm. He'll come in when we come back. Midwest. Let's go to our studio. Pat Paris standing by with a Bommarito Sports Update. All right, Pat, thanks. Chevy called to the pen. Rosenthal, the hard-throwing right-hander, is in. And he will deal with Carlos Gomez to lead it off, followed by Betancourt and Bianchi.
And what a contrast he's going to be following Seth Maness. If you're a Brewers batter, you saw Maness with a lot of sinkers and good slider, and now you've got a guy throwing upper 90s. Tough to adjust to that. Manus, an odd line for him, an inning and 2/3, 5 hits. That sounds like that would result in some problems, but a goose egg in terms of runs charged to Seth Manus. Double play, a big pitch in this ball game that he threw to Ryan Braun.
Still lurking in that dugout for Milwaukee as Gomez lost the bat at 97 from Rosenthal, but Aramis Ramirez still available to pinch hit. The 2-2. Got him. Fastball at 96.
Third time the Cardinals have gotten Carlos Gomez. 0 for 4 on the afternoon. Gomez just 1 for 11 now in this series. Hitting over 340.
Yuniesky Betancourt with 1 out and nobody on, and there it is again, the fastball 96. His rears back and says, here you go.
Brewers not getting cheated with their swings, are they?
No. Always brings up the point of a 2-strike swing. Aoki, an example of a guy that just puts it in play, and you just saw, Gomez letting it rip.
David Freese had a nice 2-strike swing early in this game. Protecting a bit, put the ball in play.
Look at this. 97. The first 2 retired by Rosenthal.
Good location and good velocity. Up and in, ties him up. Not really a 2-strike swing there either.
Get a chance to, in our positions, get a chance to know these guys a little bit, and the more you're around Rosenthal, the more you like him. Base hit into right. Not only a good player and a good pitcher, but good citizen too. A guy that wants to entrench himself in this community. He and his wife are expecting their first child. And by the way, he's only, 22 years old.
A lot of responsibility on the shoulders of a 22-year-old. But he handles it very well.
Sure does.
And you have to give some credit, again, to the Cardinals' development system. He was a part of a class in the minor leagues that helped prepare prospects for the big league level, which included how to deal with the media, how to deal with finances, how to deal with just handling yourself in travel, etc. And very kind of hands-on class that he took, and I think it shows. How to be a professional.
1 ball, 1 strike on Ricky Weeks. Outfield is very deep. Weeks represents the tying run at the plate. We're in the top of the 8th. 2 down. Runner at first. The 1-1. High fly ball out to right. That'll stay in the ballpark as Beltran makes the catch on the trap. A scoreless inning from Trevor Rosenthal. by Bud Light, the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin with you. Jim Hayes, Pat Paris, Chris Duncan, all coming up on the postgame show. Lots to get to concerning the news with Jaime Garcia. Lions will make a start on Wednesday. StubHub, don't forget, best way to get your tickets, home and road, and that's StubHub.com. Manus now with the 4 double plays that he has induced.
Chris Tuno reporting that Seth Manus, now the 9th major league pitcher since 1916 to get 5 outs and give up 5 hits and not allow a run.
Wow.
We knew it was odd. We didn't know it was that odd.
Here's Carlos Beltran against Mike Fiers. Beltran has popped out into foul territory, a single and a run scored in the 4th, and flied out to left. Fiers began the season at AAA last year, then went 9-10 with an ERA under 4. It was a good find for Milwaukee, now working out of their bullpen.
Got off to a bad start this season. They sent him to AAA, and he's had some family health issues that he's had to deal with. So we actually asked them to send him to A-ball just so he could help with those issues, and has worked his way back to the big leagues.
Popped up mile high. Betancourt. Uh-oh, look at this. Almost made its way back into fair territory. Chris Maloney is thinking, I'm out of the way, aren't I? Uh-oh. He had to do a little dance over there, the Cardinals' first base coach. There's one away.
I'm not sure if this is a good play or not. He catches it, so I guess it is, but he goes back, in, left, right, kind of back to where he started almost. Catches it right over the first base bag. Guess as long as you catch it.
Matt Holliday, pair of flyouts to right, also has struck out.
That's a Candlestick Park route to a baseball. I've seen that 1,000 times, but not here at Busch Stadium very often.
We've said it a bunch. This ballpark, and not all the newer parks can lay claim to this, but this ballpark, very fair.
Yes.
A 2-0-2 Holiday. And even with the buildings that will go up across the street, it may make this ballpark a little different next year. We've talked about that, how certain wind tunnels could be affected. Construction happening right now at Ballpark Village. 3-1. Crowd today, 39,878. 39,878. Big gap in left center. They're deep for Holiday. Draws a 1-out walk. Nissan drive of the game off the bat of John Jay.
His double, a big hit in the game. One of 2 hits that John Jay has had here this afternoon. That came in the 4-run Cardinal 4th inning. Molina, Jay, Freese, and Cosma with the 4 Cardinal RBIs.
Alan Craig average at 308, 2 home runs. He's driven in 30. On the afternoon, a ground out, single and a run scored. He's also flied out.
John Jay getting up there with the big boys in terms of his RBI total. Just 4 behind Beltran, who's off to a good start with 10 home runs and 27 RBIs. Holiday has 26, Alan Craig at 30.
Phillies come back to beat the Reds 3-2. Pinch runner is Shane Robinson for Matt Holliday. So his afternoon is through. Cardinals will do that a lot under Mike Matheny. Last year, and then seeing that more often this year as well. They try to buy an inning or two if they can to give Holliday a little break.
Doesn't seem like it would be a big deal, but every little bit helps. Cardinals getting ready to go on a long cross-country trip here to San Diego. Close play at first. And Holliday's going to play an awful lot of innings. There's no question. So you get him kind of off his feet a little quicker. Get him kind of tad bit of rest here at the end of the game before the Cardinals head off on that trip. And it's going to be an interesting trip for St. Louis, who are going to go out to the West Coast and play the Padres, who can be beat, but they also are an intriguing team. And I would say the Dodgers are an intriguing team. You're just not really sure what you're going to get in either place. And finish in Kansas City against the Royals, who are a much better ball club.
The risk that you run when you think about the kind of move Mike Matheny just did, right, is that if the Brewers tie this game up, and it's no disrespect to Shane Robinson, but I want Matt Holliday to come up. So when you're talking about, a bigger lead, surely I would say you encourage it, but in a tight game, a 4-2 game,
it's a calculated risk.
Sure is. Here's a 1-1 to Craig. Long look by Fires, and Craig has a base hit into center field. Robinson touches the bag at second, on his way to third. And that's one of the reasons why, on the flip side, you say it's a good move, because of his speed.
Even as I was saying, Dan, it's a calculated risk. This game is a calculated risk. Every time you throw a changeup, it's a calculated risk that they're looking for one. Or you bring in somebody from the bullpen, or you bring in somebody to pinch run just in case he has to go first to third. Guess what? It worked this time. High socks and all. High Sox Sunday.
Mejica, I believe, throwing in the bullpen. He has thrown 26 pitches the last 2 days. And also Salas is up if it becomes a non-save situation, you would assume. Short lead at first by Craig. Robinson, the runner down at third. Yadier Molina, chance to add some insurance with one out. Game started with defensive play by Yadier Molina. Maybe set the tone in this game, as the Brewers had the first two that reached with a walk and a single. Aoki, the runner at third, was first and third, and Molina faked a throw to second on a steal opportunity. Aoki, the runner at third, went for it. Cardinals with 2 outs got him in a run down and got out of the inning, and then John Gast was able to settle in. Just the little things that Molina does throughout a ball game. The 1-1. Throw down to third. Robinson back in safely.
We've seen good defense overall by the Cardinals today, and one play that we didn't talk much about, this pitch up and in, the perfect pitch to be able to throw to third on a pickoff attempt. But I would say, because it ended an inning, we didn't come back to it. An outstanding turn on a double play by Matt Carpenter in the 7th inning. A key moment in this ballgame, with Manus trying to get out of a jam. David Freese took a chance, trusted Matt Carpenter with a tough turn, and he handled it very, very well. Defense matters. Key moment in this game. It's Freese He elects to go to second. There's Carpenter getting out of the way and getting a strong throw to first base. Got rid of it quickly. We've all seen, Dan, when you know you have to get rid of it quickly, that sometimes that results in a problem. On the transfer, you'll drop it, or maybe not even get the one out. You have to be sure to get that first out, but you can tell your pitcher's struggling. The double play is going to make his day, and that's exactly what happened. Really credit Matt Carpenter with outstanding defensive play this year. There's your runners. Robinson and Craig. Another run sure would help. Infield in.
(3-2) to Molina. Now time is called as home plate umpires stepped away before the delivery to the plate. By the way, it was Kratz and Galvis back-to-back home runs off of Aroldis Chapman to win the game for the Phillies. Wow. Sun is dipped behind the clouds as Molina gave it a look, darkened up the stadium. The 3-2 to Molina. Runner goes from first, and it's a called third strike on the outside corner. Yachty doesn't like that. The stolen base for Craig, his first.
Yachty doesn't like the call. Is it a strike? May have caught that outside corner.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals trying to make it a 7-3 10-game homestand with a win today. 2 outs, 2 on. Off-speed pitch taken a bit high by John Jay. He's singled, he's doubled in a run, scored a run, and also flied out to left. 2 for 3. Jay fights it off, little floater out to shallow left. Segura makes the catch. Can Chief do it again? That's Mejica. That's another save opportunity on the line. West, let's head to our studio. Pat Paris standing by. It's another Bomberitos Sports Update. Pat. And because of that, the Cardinals could pick up a game and go to 2.5 in front of the Reds. Darn near perfect here when you think about Edward Mujica, just how good he has been. He's pitched in every game of this series, and here is number 3, and hopefully plenty left in the tank for this appearance.
Known as Chief to his teammates, he has been attacking the strike zone. Best pitch is a changeup. A lot of strikes from Mujica, really been his MO in his entire career. And been awful busy over the last 7 days, and that means his team's been winning on this homestand. Brewers, on the other hand, 2-7 on this road trip for them that ends today. They go back home where they'll play Cincinnati, Pittsburgh in that series.
Martin Maldonado. Pitcher spot on deck. Fires, and then Aoki. A broken bat. Lifted into shallow center. Jay diving. He comes up with the first out here in the ninth. What a play. High Sox Sunday. Thank you, John Jay, as Mujica recognizes that. Let's check in with Jim Hayes.
All right, coming up on the post-game show, it'll be Pat Paris and Lil Dunk, Chris Duncan, John Gass, effective in his second big league start. They'll break it down. We'll hear from Kyle Ocean, try to figure out what got him so fired up today. Plus, we'll have Mike Matheny's post-game thoughts as well. Guys, all that coming up after the ball game on the post-game show.
The all-important first out. Taken in by John Jay. Here is Gonzalez. And that's a strike on the outside corner.
Gets a good jump on this ball. Not hit that well. Kind of a sinking line drive. And John Jay lays out a bit and is sure of it. Shows the baseball.
And quickly 2 strikes.
One more look. Shane Robinson backing him up.
John Jay, one of the originators of High Sox Sunday.
Co-founders, you might say.
Here you go. The 0-2 is lifted into right, and that's a diving catch by Beltran. Back-to-back grabs. Jay Beltran, and there's 2 outs.
I can't wait to see the next play that Shane Robinson makes. Beltran. Again, a good route to the ball. Lays out. Nice to have good hands behind you. All right,
Overlooked a bit has been the Cardinals defense this year overall.
Shane's ready.
So 2 down. Here's Aoki.
Overlooked because it wasn't expected to be a strong point, but they have continued to catch the balls they're supposed to, turn double plays. Good outfield defense to go along with it.
2 balls, no strikes. To wonder about Mujica, his availability tomorrow night in San Diego, but we'll worry about that tomorrow. Still 1 out here to get. The 2-0 pitch. 2 balls and 1 strike. Player of the game, Seth Maness, presented by Budweiser. Such an odd line. Inning and 2/3, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. The key double play off the bat of Braun. The 2-1. Now make it 2-2. Homestand that began with Colorado. They took 2 of 3, then 3 of 4 in New York, and trying to make it 2 of 3 now. The 2-2. Story of today's ball game: Segura, Braun, Gomez. They have stranded 15 today.
And that's been the story of their season so far. But if they start to get the bottom of their order on base like they did here in this game, they're still going to be good before it's over.
The 2-2. Grounder too short. This should do it. Quickly to first, and the Cardinals take 2 of 3. They hold on. A 4-2 win. And what a homestand for St. Louis. They win 7 of the 10 games. Mexique is on fire, and so are the Cardinals.
John Gast goes to 2-0. The Cardinals able to bunch their hits and bunch their runs in the 4th inning. It's all they needed, a 4-run 4th, RBIs from Molina, Jay, Freese, and Cosma. The difference here this afternoon, and a very, very good homestand for St. Louis.
Colorado, New York, Milwaukee. The Cardinals win all those series. Post-game show next.